Jaren had never seen a planet like Valora before. From the shuttle window, the world stretched in colors he had never imagined. Vast purple forests shimmered under two suns, and silver rivers reflected the sky like mirrors. Towering cities floated above the ground, held aloft by bright, humming energy fields. Humans had never visited this far, and Jaren felt the weight of the mission pressing on him. He had been chosen for his skills as a pilot and his quick thinking under pressure. The Earth Council trusted him to make first contact, but he knew Valora would not be simple. The aliens were advanced, proud, and protective of their culture. One wrong move could turn a diplomatic visit into disaster. As the shuttle descended, Jaren reviewed his briefing. Princess Nira, the daughter of Queen Serena, was hosting a ceremony to welcome foreign visitors. Jaren's task was simple on paper: attend, observe, and ensure her safety. The reality felt heavier. The shuttle landed on a raised platform. The city below was alive with activity. Valoran citizens moved gracefully, their tall forms wrapped in flowing metallic garments. Their eyes glowed faintly, a sign of their unique biology. They were unlike anything Jaren had ever seen. "Stay calm," Jaren murmured to himself, stepping out of the shuttle. The air smelled faintly sweet, with hints of flowers he could not identify. Every sound seemed sharper, more vibrant. Jaren took a deep breath and followed the attendants through the palace gates. Inside, the hall was breathtaking. High ceilings curved like the inside of a seashell, and walls were decorated with luminous patterns that seemed to shift when viewed from different angles. Valoran guards lined the hall, tall and motionless, their armor shining like liquid silver. Jaren felt a mixture of awe and nervousness. At the center of the hall stood Princess Nira. She was elegant, with long flowing hair that glimmered like the rivers outside. Her eyes held intelligence and curiosity. She smiled politely at the visitors, but her gaze flickered toward the balcony above, where members of the Valoran Council observed the ceremony. Jaren noted the tension in her posture, small but unmistakable. The ceremony began. Nira spoke in her melodic language, and attendants translated for the humans. She welcomed the visitors, spoke of peace and cooperation, and outlined plans for a cultural exchange. Jaren listened carefully. Everything seemed calm, but he knew that appearances could be deceiving. Then, without warning, chaos erupted. A sharp, metallic clang echoed through the hall. The floating lights flickered and dimmed. Jaren's instincts kicked in before his mind could process the danger. Figures dressed in dark armor appeared from hidden doors. They moved swiftly, cutting through the guards with weapons that emitted bursts of energy. The council members shouted orders, but the attackers were fast. One of them lunged at Princess Nira. Jaren reacted instantly. He pushed forward, grabbing her arm and pulling her behind a tall pillar. The air crackled with energy as another attacker swung a weapon at him. Jaren blocked it with the edge of his forearm, feeling the sting of the strike but refusing to let go. "Stay behind me," Jaren shouted, his voice firm. Nira's eyes widened, but she trusted him. Together they ducked and rolled as more attackers moved through the hall. Jaren noticed the pattern in their movement and quickly realized they were targeting the princess specifically. He grabbed a nearby ceremonial staff, using it as both a weapon and a shield. Each time an attacker approached, he parried with precision, his human training keeping him one step ahead. Nira moved cautiously beside him, picking up fallen objects and tossing them to block the assailant's path. Despite the danger, she remained calm, her mind sharp. One attacker tried to corner them near the throne. Jaren twisted his body, striking the attacker's weapon away, and pushed him into a wall. Sparks flew and the figure fell back. Another attacker advanced, but Jaren caught him with a swift kick, sending him sprawling. The crowd of Valorans watched in shock. Some were frozen by fear. Others tried to fight but lacked Jaren's experience. Yet even in the chaos, Nira stayed focused, helping him navigate through the hall. Finally, they reached a side exit. Jaren paused, scanning the area. "This way," he said, leading her through the corridor. The attackers were still pursuing them, but Jaren noticed a small maintenance hatch. It was barely large enough for them to squeeze through, but it offered a way out. They crawled through the narrow passage, dust and debris falling around them. The sounds of battle faded behind them, replaced by the hum of the palace's inner workings. Jaren allowed himself a brief moment to catch his breath. Nira looked at him, her eyes wide but steady. "You saved me," she said quietly. Her voice carried both gratitude and surprise. "You're safe now," Jaren replied. "We just need to keep moving." They emerged into a hidden courtyard illuminated by glowing plants. The courtyard led to a series of tunnels that seemed to extend beneath the palace. Jaren guided Nira through them, keeping alert for any pursuers. As they moved, he noticed small details: the way the Valoran architecture absorbed sound, the faint energy pulses in the walls, and the strange symbols etched into the stone. He realized that Valora was not just advanced technologically, but it also held secrets he had yet to understand. After what felt like hours, but was only minutes, they reached a secure chamber. It was small and round, with soft lighting and comfortable seating. Nira sank onto a cushioned bench, visibly relieved. Jaren leaned against the wall, still on alert. "Are you all right?" he asked, studying her carefully. "I am," she replied, taking a deep breath. "But the attackers, they were not random. Someone wanted to hurt me specifically." Jaren nodded. "I noticed. We need to find out who and why. But first, we need to make sure the palace is secure." Nira's eyes softened. You acted quickly, without hesitation. Most humans would have frozen." Jaren shrugged. "I didn't think. I just reacted. That's what humans do sometimes. We adapt," she smiled faintly. "I can see that. Your courage. It is remarkable." For a moment, silence fell between them. Jaren realized that he had formed a connection with Nira in mere minutes, a connection built on trust and shared danger. He also knew that their journey was only beginning. The attack had been a warning, and the true threat had yet to reveal itself. Soon, footsteps echoed in the corridor outside. Nira tensed. Jaren moved in front of her, ready. The door opened to reveal a tall Valoran guard. He nodded respectfully at Jaren and gestured for them to follow. "This way, Princess," the guard said. "The council awaits you. They have questions about the attack." Jaren glanced at Nira. She nodded, trusting him to accompany her. Together they walked toward the council chambers, their steps echoing in the silent corridors. As they entered the chamber, the council members turned their glowing eyes toward them. Some faces showed worry, others suspicion. One elder with silver markings along his forehead spoke first. "Princess Nira, are you unharmed?" "I am," Nira replied, standing tall. She then looked at Jaren and said, "And my protector is here." The council's eyes shifted to Jaren. Whispers filled the room. Some members seemed impressed, others skeptical. "This human acted swiftly," Nira continued. "He saved my life. We must consider the possibility that more attacks may come. We cannot ignore the threat." The elder leaned forward. "It is unusual. For a human to be so capable, we must understand his intentions." Jaren met the elder's gaze. "I am here to help. That is all. My mission is to protect, and I will do it without question." The council fell silent for a moment. Then another member spoke. "Very well. We will allow him to remain for now. But be warned, human. Valora is not as simple as your world. You must prove yourself worthy of our trust." Jaren nodded. "I understand." Nira placed a hand lightly on his arm. "I believe in you. We will face this together." Jaren felt a sense of purpose he had never known. The mission had started as a simple diplomatic visit, but now it had become something far greater. He was no longer just a visitor. He was a guardian, a protector, and perhaps the key to bridging two worlds. As they left the council chamber, the palace seemed both larger and more mysterious than before. Shadows lingered in the corridors, hinting at hidden dangers. Jaren knew that every step he took would matter. Outside, the twin suns bathed Valora in golden light. Jaren took a deep breath, ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. Princess Nira walked beside him, strong and determined. Together they were ready to face the unknown. And somewhere deep in the palace, hidden eyes watched their every move. The battle was over for now, but the war for Valora's future was just beginning. The palace felt different after the attack. The halls that had once impressed Jaren with their grandeur now seemed to hum with tension. Guards moved more carefully, eyes scanning every corridor. Jaren could sense that the danger was not over. Whoever had tried to harm Princess Nira had not given up. Nira walked beside him through the corridors. Her face was calm, but Jaren noticed the slight tension in her shoulders. "Do you think they will come back?" she asked quietly. "They might," Jaren replied. "But if they do, we will be ready. I need to know everything you know about this palace and the people in it. Every detail could matter." She nodded. "You must understand, Jaren. Valora is not like your home. There are factions that want the throne, and there are some who see outsiders as a threat. Even within my own court, loyalty is not guaranteed, Jaren frowned. So the attack, it could be from someone inside? Nira's eyes met his. I am afraid so. Some council members may not wish for me to rule. They see weakness in youth and they do not trust humans. You have to be careful, Jaren. You cannot trust everyone here. Jaren felt the weight of her words. The palace was beautiful, but beauty could hide danger. Every smile could conceal a hidden agenda. He decided that his first step was to understand the Valoran culture, learn who could be trusted, and discover who posed a real threat. They arrived at a training room. Nira gestured to the equipment along the walls. We need to prepare. If the attackers come again, I want to be ready. I may be a princess, but I am also a target. I cannot rely on others alone. Jaren studied her. She was determined, brave, and smart. Then we train. I will teach you what I know. We will combine your skills and mine. Together, we will be stronger. The training began immediately. Jaren showed Nira how to move efficiently, how to anticipate an attacker, and how to use the environment to her advantage. At first she struggled with some techniques, but she quickly adapted. Her Valoran agility and sharp reflexes made her a fast learner. You are good, Jaren said after a session. Better than most humans I have trained. Nira smiled. You are not so bad yourself, Jaren. I can see why you were chosen for this mission. Their training sessions became a daily routine. As they worked together, a bond formed between them. Nira learned to trust Jaren's judgment, and Jaren began to understand Nira's courage and intelligence. But while they trained, Jaren kept his mind on the bigger picture. The attack had been too well planned to be random. One evening, as the twin suns began to set, Jaren and Nira walked along a balcony overlooking the palace gardens. The air was cool, carrying the scent of glowing flowers. I have been thinking about the attack, Jaren said. There are patterns in how the attackers moved. They knew the palace layout, the guard positions, and how to reach you quickly. Someone on the inside must have helped them. Nira's face hardened. That is what I feared. My advisors do not all wish for me to rule. Some of them have influence over security and information. It is possible they gave instructions to the attackers without revealing themselves. Jaren studied her carefully. We need proof. Names, documents, or messages. Something that shows who is behind this. Otherwise, we are fighting shadows. Nira nodded. I have begun quietly observing. I watch who asks questions, who avoids certain areas, who speaks in secret. It is dangerous, but necessary. Over the next few days, Jaren joined Nira in her investigation. They attended council meetings, spoke with palace staff, and observed patterns in daily activity. Slowly, pieces of the puzzle began to appear. Certain guards acted strangely, certain servants whispered in corners, and a few council members asked questions that seemed innocent, but had hidden meanings. One evening, they discovered a hidden chamber beneath the palace library. It was small and filled with documents, communication devices, and equipment clearly used to plan attacks. Nira's eyes widened. This is evidence. Whoever left this here knew they could hide it from most people. Jaren carefully examined the devices. These communicate with ships outside the planet. They were planning another strike. We need to alert the council, but carefully. If the wrong person sees us, they may strike again. Nira nodded. We will go to the Queen first. She is wise and sees beyond court politics. If anyone can act without hesitation, it is her. They found Queen Serena in her private chamber. She was tall, regal, and calm. When she saw Nira and Jaren, she gestured for them to sit. Your Highness, Nira began, we have discovered evidence of a plot against me. It is organized and involves members of the court. We need your guidance. The Queen studied the documents and devices. Her glowing eyes narrowed in thought. This is troubling, but it is not unexpected. Those who fear change often act in secret. You have done well to find this before it escalated. Jaren spoke. Your Majesty, the attackers are skilled. They know the palace. We need to secure the areas they may use and watch those who could betray the princess. If we act carefully, we can prevent another attack." The queen nodded. "Very well. Jaren, you will remain as Nira's guardian. Your knowledge of strategy and quick thinking will be invaluable. Princess Nira, you must continue to prepare and train. Together, you must be vigilant." Nira's expression softened toward Jaren. "We will do this together," she said. The next few days were tense. Jaren and Nira trained, investigated, and coordinated with the Queen's loyal guards. They discovered that some council members were indeed collaborating with the attackers. Messages were hidden in innocuous objects, and secret meetings were held in unused chambers. Each time they uncovered a clue, the sense of danger grew. One evening, a council member approached Nira privately. He spoke calmly, almost politely. "Princess, some things are better left alone. Trusting outsiders, even humans, is dangerous. You must consider what is truly best for Valora." Nira met his gaze without fear. "I will make my own decisions. If someone threatens my people or my family, I will not remain silent. Do not mistake caution for weakness." The council member's face hardened, but he said no more. Jaren watched from a distance, silently noting the tension. He knew that Nira's leadership would be tested in ways more difficult than any battle. As days passed, Jaren and Nira became more coordinated. They developed signals, strategies, and fallback plans. Nira learned to anticipate attacks, and Jaren learned to understand the subtle signs of Veloran behavior. Together, they formed a partnership that balanced courage, intelligence, and human ingenuity. One night, while monitoring communications, Jaren noticed a transmission from outside the planet. It contained plans for a strike against the palace. The attackers were preparing to move soon. He alerted Nira immediately. "They are coming," he said. "We need to act fast. This is not a drill." Nira's eyes sharpened. "We have prepared for this. Gather the loyal guards. I will coordinate with them. We cannot let fear control us." Jaren felt pride. Despite the danger, Nira remained calm, strong, and decisive. She was not just a princess in name, she was a leader ready to face challenges. Together they moved through the palace, organizing defenses and warning trusted staff. Secret passages were secured, strategic points reinforced, and contingency plans activated. Jaren could feel the adrenaline rising, but he kept his mind clear. As the first signs of the approaching attackers appeared, Jaren and Nira stood side by side. The moonlight reflected off the palace walls, casting long shadows. This time they were not caught off guard. They were ready. Nira looked at Jaren. "We will face this together. Whatever happens, we will protect Valora." Jaren nodded. "I will not let anything happen to you or your people. Not now, not ever." The palace held its breath. The threat was real, and the danger was close. But for the first time, Jaren felt that they were not just defending a princess, they were defending hope, courage, and the promise of a future where humans and Velorans could stand together. The night was quiet, but the storm was coming, and, when it arrived, Jaren and Nira would face it with courage, strategy, and an unbreakable bond. The first signs of attack came at dawn. The twin suns were rising over Valora, painting the sky in shades of gold and purple. From the palace walls, Jaren could see shadows moving in the distance, ships approaching silently, their hulls reflecting sunlight. The attackers had arrived. He stood beside Princess Nira on the highest terrace of the palace. Both of them were ready, clad in reinforced armor designed to allow movement and protection. The loyal Valoran guards were stationed at strategic points, their energy weapons humming quietly. "Are we ready?" Nira asked, her voice calm but filled with determination. Jaren scanned the horizon. "As ready as we can be. Stick to the plan, stay alert, and follow my lead." Nira nodded. "We protect Valora no matter what." The first wave of attackers struck without warning. They came from multiple directions, some on flying craft, others moving on the ground in dark armor. The sky was filled with flashes of energy beams and the hum of engines. Jaren and Nira reacted instantly. "Hold the line!" Jaren shouted to the guards. Do not let them reach the palace gates. Nira coordinated with other palace defenders, signaling points that needed reinforcement. She moved with surprising skill, her agility allowing her to dodge attacks and direct reinforcements at the same time. Jaren fought beside her, using his human instincts to anticipate the attackers' moves. The first group of attackers reached the outer wall. Jaren fired an energy pulse from his weapon, disabling their craft. A Velaran guard leapt beside him, striking down intruders who tried to climb the wall. The combination of human tactics and Velaran strength was effective, slowing the attackers. Despite their success, the battle was intense. Energy blasts lit up the courtyard, creating bright flashes that reflected off the palace walls. Jaren moved through the chaos, deflecting attacks, rescuing guards, and keeping an eye on Nira. She was everywhere at once, her voice clear as she gave instructions and encouraged defenders. One attacker managed to breach a secondary gate. Jaren raced to intercept, finding a tall figure attempting to sabotage the palace systems. Using a quick maneuver, he knocked the device away and engaged the intruder in close combat. His training in human instincts allowed him to adapt to Valoran technology, giving him an unexpected advantage. Meanwhile, Nira was facing her own challenge. A group of attackers attempted to trap her in the central courtyard. She moved quickly, using a combination of agility and clever positioning. With Jaren covering her, she lured the attackers into narrow passages where their numbers became a disadvantage. "Good work, Princess," Jaren called out as he joined her. "Keep moving them into tight spots. They can't maneuver well there," Nira nodded. "I learned from watching you. Quick thinking, precise action." Together they coordinated attacks, combining human improvisation with Valoran technology. They were a team, each anticipating the other's moves. The palace defenders rallied behind them, gaining confidence from the display of skill and courage. Despite their efforts, the attackers were relentless. Jaren noticed that their tactics were different from before. They were better coordinated, using advanced communication devices to anticipate movements. Some of the attackers seemed to know the palace layout intimately, confirming Jaren's fears that there were insiders involved. "We need to find the source," Jaren shouted to Nira over the noise of battle. "I am working on it," she replied. "I can detect energy signatures from the devices they are using. Follow me." They moved swiftly through secret corridors, avoiding direct confrontation. Nira pointed to a hidden room, half buried beneath palace machinery. "Here," she said. "This is where they are controlling some of the attackers." Jaren nodded. "Let's shut it down." They entered the room, finding a console with multiple screens displaying real-time battle data. The attackers were being directed remotely. Jaren quickly examined the control panels. "I can disable their communications. That will give us an advantage." Nira assisted, her fingers flying over her own interface, a combination of Valoran technology and human strategy. Together, they disrupted the attackers' coordination. Suddenly, the invaders in the palace faltered, their attacks becoming disorganized. The defenders took advantage. Guards pushed forward, repelling attackers who were now confused and separated. Jaren and Nira moved back into the open, leading a counterattack that drove the invaders out of the inner palace. However, the battle was not over. The leaders of the attack were still outside, commanding larger forces. Jaren knew that their true strength had yet to be revealed. He turned to Nira. "We need a plan for the next wave." "They will regroup quickly," Nira nodded. "We use their weakness against them. They rely on coordination. If we separate them, we can win." Jaren studied the battlefield and made a plan. They would divide the attackers into smaller groups, drawing them into confined areas where their numbers would be a disadvantage. He assigned positions to the loyal guards and created signals to communicate silently. Nira would coordinate the movement of defenders from the palace's central hub. As the attackers advanced again, the plan was put into action. Nira directed defenders to open certain gates and block others. Jaren led a group through narrow passages, ambushing attackers and cutting off their advance. The battle became a dance of strategy, strength, and timing. At one point, a group of attackers tried to flank Nira's position. Jaren moved swiftly, intercepting them before they could reach her. Using a combination of energy blasts and hand-to-hand combat, he neutralized the threat. Nira watched, impressed by his skill and determination. "Human ingenuity," she said quietly to herself. "It is remarkable." The tide of the battle slowly turned. The attackers' organization crumbled under the combined force of human and Valoran coordination. Each wave was repelled, their strategies failing against the defenders' clever use of terrain, traps, and communication disruption. Finally, the remaining attackers retreated. Their ships fled into the sky, leaving the palace battered but standing. The loyal Valoran guards cheered, and Nira allowed herself a small smile. Jaren, though exhausted, felt a sense of accomplishment. They had defended the palace, protected the people, and uncovered more evidence of internal betrayal. Queen Serena arrived in the courtyard shortly after the battle ended. She surveyed the damage and then turned to Jaren and Nira. "You have done well," she said. "Valora owes you a debt. You have not only protected the princess but also shown courage and intelligence in battle." Jaren bowed slightly. "I only did what I could, Your Majesty." Nira's leadership and skill were essential. "We acted together." The queen's gaze softened toward Nira. "You have shown great growth, Princess. This is a test that many would fail, but you have proven yourself capable, and you have chosen well in your guardian." Nira blushed slightly but stood tall. "Thank you, Mother. Jaren has been invaluable." As the palace staff began repairs and treated the injured, Jaren walked with Nira through the courtyard. The morning sun reflected off the palace walls, casting long shadows on the ground. The air was filled with the scent of smoke and flowers, a reminder of both destruction and life. "We did it," Nira said quietly. "We survived." "Yes," Jaren replied. "But we must remain vigilant. Whoever attacked us will not give up so easily. We have uncovered some of the plot, but there is more we do not know." Nira nodded. "We will face whatever comes, together." Jaren looked at her, realizing that she was more than a princess or a student of battle. She was a leader, brave and intelligent, capable of making decisions under pressure. And he, a human from a distant planet, had become part of her fight, part of Valora's defense. In the days that followed, they repaired the palace, trained the guards, and strengthened alliances within the court. Jaren worked closely with Nira, teaching her more strategies, analyzing the attackers' methods, and preparing for future threats. The bond between them grew stronger, built on trust, courage, and shared experience. Jaren admired Nira's resilience, and she admired his quick thinking and unwavering commitment. Together they became a symbol of hope and strength for Valora. But even as they celebrated their victory, hidden eyes watched from the shadows. The council members who had betrayed the palace were still plotting. They would not forget the humiliation of the failed attack, and they would seek revenge. Jaren and Nira were aware of this. They knew that this victory, while important, was only the beginning of a larger struggle. Valora's future depended on their ability to remain vigilant, to trust wisely, and to act decisively. As night fell over the palace, Jaren stood on the terrace once more, looking at the stars. The twin moons reflected in the rivers below, a reminder of the world he had come to protect. Nira joined him, her expression calm but thoughtful. "We have done well," she said. "But this is only the start. We must prepare for what comes next." Jaren nodded. "And we will. Together." For the first time, Jaren felt that he truly belonged on Valora. He was no longer just a visitor or a protector. He was part of a story that was still unfolding, a story of courage, trust, and human ingenuity making a difference in a world far from Earth. And as the stars shimmered above, both of them knew that the challenges ahead would test them in ways they could not yet imagine. But for now they had won the battle, and Valora had survived another day. The palace had quieted after the recent battle, but the atmosphere remained tense. The scars of the attack were still visible: damaged walls, scorched floors, and guards who moved with heightened alertness. Yet there was also a sense of accomplishment. The palace had survived, and Valora's people had witnessed the bravery of Princess Nira and her human guardian. Jaren walked through the corridors, observing the repairs and listening to reports from the guards. His mind was alert even in moments of calm. He had learned that danger often hid in plain sight, and the palace had enough secrets to test anyone's vigilance. Nira moved beside him, her expression thoughtful. "You have done more than I expected, Jaren," she said quietly. "You have earned the trust of many, even those who doubted you at first." Jaren shook his head. "I only did what needed to be done. You were the one who led people, made decisions under pressure, and inspired everyone. I just helped where I could." Nira smiled faintly. "You underestimate yourself. Humans have a way of seeing solutions that Valorans sometimes miss. Your courage and quick thinking saved lives. Before Jaren could respond, a message arrived from the Queen herself. It requested their presence in the royal chamber immediately. Nira's expression became serious. The Queen wishes to speak with us. This is important. They moved swiftly through the palace, the corridors still marked by the battle's aftermath. Guards bowed as they passed, acknowledging Jaren's role in the defense. Some whispered among themselves, marveling at the human who had stood beside their princess and helped repel the attackers. The royal chamber was vast, illuminated by soft glowing lights that shifted color with the rising sun. Queen Serena sat on her elevated throne, regal and composed, though her eyes reflected a deep concern. She gestured for them to approach. Princess Nira Jaren, she began, her voice calm yet commanding. You have both acted with courage and wisdom. Valora owes you a great debt. The recent attack has shown the strength of your bond and the effectiveness of your actions. Nira bowed respectfully. Thank you, Mother. I could not have done it without Jaren's help. The Queen's gaze shifted to Jaren, who bowed as well. Human, she said, you have proven yourself worthy of trust. Your presence has not only saved my daughter, but also inspired confidence among our people. For that I am grateful. Jaren nodded. I am honored, Your Majesty. I am here to serve Valora in any way you need. Queen Serena leaned forward slightly. I have considered the future of this palace, this city, and our people. We face threats not only from outsiders, but from those who would betray us from within. Courage alone is not enough. We need vigilance, loyalty, and wisdom. Jaren listened carefully, sensing the gravity of her words. I would like you, Jaren, to remain here permanently, as an official guardian of the royal family, the Queen continued. Your skills, your quick thinking, and your ability to act decisively are invaluable. I trust that you will serve not only my daughter, but the people of Valora with the same courage you have shown. Jaren felt a mixture of surprise and hesitation. Remaining on Valora was more than he had imagined when he first arrived. His life on Earth was far behind him, and yet he had come to care deeply for the princess and this planet. Nira placed a hand lightly on his arm. You should consider it, she said softly. Your presence here makes a difference. You are part of Valora now. Jaren looked into her eyes and saw the trust, respect, and hope reflected there. He thought of the recent battle, the way they had worked together and the people they had protected. A sense of purpose settled over him. Your Majesty, he said finally, I accept. I will serve Valora and protect Princess Nira to the best of my abilities. The Queen's expression softened into a rare smile. So be it. Then let us prepare for the challenges ahead. You will not only act as a guardian but as an advisor, strategist, and symbol of courage for our people. Valora has much to rebuild and strengthen, and your presence will aid that cause. Nira stepped closer to Jaren, her eyes shining with relief and gratitude. I am glad you are staying. Together we can face whatever comes next. The Queen nodded. There is much to discuss. The palace requires reinforcement. Our defenses must be strengthened and the council must be monitored carefully. Those who betrayed us are still among us and their intentions are dangerous. Jaren listened, absorbing every detail. He had expected battles of skill and strength, but Valora also demanded careful thought, strategy, and political awareness. He realized that protecting Nira meant more than fighting. It meant understanding, planning, and navigating a complex world. Over the next few days, Jaren began his new role. He trained with Nira daily, improving her defensive skills, her coordination with the guards, and her understanding of strategy. They analyzed the previous attack, identified weaknesses in the palace defenses, and prepared for possible future threats. At the same time, Jaren worked with Queen Serena and her advisors to secure the palace. Hidden chambers were examined, communication systems upgraded, and patrol routes optimized. Every corner of the palace was scrutinized. Jaren noticed that the loyalty of some council members was uncertain. Even those who appeared supportive could not be fully trusted. One afternoon, while walking through the palace gardens, Nira spoke quietly to Jaren. The people have begun to trust you. Even the guards who doubted you now see your courage and wisdom. Your presence has changed how they view humans. Jaren smiled faintly. I am glad to help. But I still feel the weight of responsibility. Every decision matters, every action counts, Nira nodded. That is why I value your counsel. Together we can guide Valora through these challenges. I have learned much from you already. Their bond grew stronger as they worked side by side. Jaren admired Nira's intelligence, her ability to remain calm under pressure, and her willingness to learn. Nira respected Jaren's decisiveness, his adaptability, and his courage. Together, they were more than a princess and a guardian. They were a team, ready to face both visible and hidden threats. The Queen summoned them one evening for a private discussion. "The council must be handled carefully," she said. "We cannot expose the traitors too soon, or they may act against us again. Jaren, your role will extend beyond the battlefield. You must advise Nira, observe the council, and help uncover those who would harm our people." Jaren nodded. "I understand. I will do everything in my power to ensure the palace remains safe and that the princess is protected." Nira looked at him with appreciation. "We will face this together. No one else can match your skills and judgment. Valora is fortunate to have you." The days that followed were a mixture of training, planning, and observation. Jaren and Nira moved through the palace, monitoring suspicious activity, reinforcing defenses, and working with loyal guards. The people of Valora began to see them as symbols of hope, courage, and unity. One afternoon, as they patrolled the upper terraces, a loyal guard approached. "Princess Human Guardian, we have intercepted messages indicating a small faction is planning another strike. It may be an attempt to test our defenses again." Jaren studied the messages. "It is likely a probe meant to gauge our readiness. We will prepare accordingly. We cannot underestimate them." Nira's eyes narrowed. "Then we set the trap. We will use our knowledge of the palace and their tactics against them. They will not catch us off guard again." Together they devised a plan. Jaren would lead a small group to a strategic point, while Nira coordinated reinforcements and defensive measures. Every detail was considered: timing, positioning, communication signals, and contingency plans. As the attackers approached, Jaren and Nira were ready. The palace defenses worked perfectly, catching the intruders in well-prepared traps. The attackers were repelled quickly, unable to adapt to the coordinated strategy. For the first time, the palace demonstrated not only strength but intelligence and planning. The victory reinforced the Queen's trust in Jaren. She summoned them once more. "You have proven yourselves invaluable. Valora is stronger because of your presence. I am confident that together, you and Nira will continue to protect this kingdom and guide it toward a future of stability and strength." Jaren bowed. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I will not fail," Nira smiled. "We face this together. Whatever comes, we are ready." The Queen's eyes softened. "And so you are. Valora has hope because of your courage, your loyalty, and your wisdom. Human and Valoran working together can accomplish what alone would be impossible." As they left the royal chamber, Jaren felt a sense of purpose stronger than ever. He was no longer a visitor. He was part of Valora, a guardian, a strategist, and a partner to the princess. Together, they would face whatever threats came next, protect the people, and ensure that Valora's future remained bright. The palace may have scars from the battles, but with courage, strategy, and trust it would endure. And Jaren knew that he had found a place where his abilities truly mattered, a place where his humanity could shine and make a real difference. The morning sun bathed Valora in a golden glow. The palace, once scarred by battle, now gleamed with renewed strength. Repairs were complete, defenses strengthened, and the city below was alive with movement. People emerged from their homes curious and hopeful, eager to see the royal family after the trials they had endured. Jaren stood on the palace terrace, observing the city. He had grown accustomed to the sights and sounds of Valora, the shimmering rivers, the floating gardens, and the elegant citizens moving with grace. But it was more than beauty that captivated him. It was the sense of life, resilience, and determination that flowed through the planet. Princess Nira joined him, walking quietly to his side. "The people are ready to see us," she said. Her voice was calm, confident, yet carried a warmth that reflected her pride in her people. Jaren nodded. "They have reason to hope. We defended them together and they saw courage in action. That is more than any words could achieve." Nira smiled. "You have become part of Valora, Jaren. Not just as my guardian, but as someone the people trust. You have made a difference." Before Jaren could reply, Queen Serena appeared, her presence commanding yet serene. "It is time to address the council and the citizens," she said. "Valora must enter a new era, one guided by trust, courage, and unity. The challenges we faced have tested us, but we have emerged stronger. The three of them moved to the grand hall where council members and citizens had gathered. The air was filled with anticipation. The council members who had betrayed the palace were present as well, though their expressions were wary. They had seen the outcome of their plots and knew that Valora had been united against their schemes. Queen Serena raised her hand, and silence fell. "People of Valora," she began, "we have faced threats from within and beyond our walls. We have discovered betrayal and deception, but we have also witnessed bravery and loyalty. The actions of Princess Nira and Jaren, her human guardian, have shown what courage, intelligence, and trust can achieve." Jaren felt the weight of the room's attention upon him, but he stood tall, ready to support Nira. He had learned much in a short time, and he knew his role was not only to fight but also to inspire confidence. The Queen continued, "Our enemies sought to divide us, to weaken Valora, but we have proven that unity is our strength. Those who would harm us will see that their plans fail when faced with courage and strategy. From this day forward, Valora enters a new era, a time of cooperation, vigilance, and growth." Nira stepped forward, her eyes shining with determination. "People of Valora, we have defended our home, our families, and our future. We will continue to protect what we hold dear. But courage alone is not enough. We must work together, share knowledge, and trust in one another. Together, humans and Valorans can accomplish what neither could alone." The crowd erupted in applause, cheers filling the hall. Jaren felt a surge of pride and responsibility. He had come from Earth as an outsider, but now he stood as a symbol of hope and courage on a distant world. He realized that his humanity, the ability to think quickly, to adapt, and to act decisively, was valued here, celebrated rather than doubted. After the ceremony, Jaren and Nira returned to the terrace. The city below sparkled with life, citizens walking through streets that had been repaired and improved. The twin rivers reflected sunlight, and the floating gardens swayed gently in the breeze. "We have done much," Nira said softly, "but there is still work to be done. Valora will need guidance, planning, and vigilance to remain strong." Jaren nodded, "And we will provide it, together." They spent the following weeks reorganizing the palace and city defenses. Jaren trained the guards in new strategies, combining human tactics with Valoran technology. Nira worked tirelessly to strengthen alliances, ensuring that both loyal council members and citizens were engaged in the protection of their world. One day, a messenger arrived from a neighboring planet. The message spoke of admiration and interest in forming alliances with Valora, inspired by the recent events and the display of unity and courage. Queen Serena studied the message and turned to Jaren and Nira. "Valora's reputation has grown beyond our borders. Your actions have not only protected our people, but also shown the strength of our society. This is the beginning of a larger future." Jaren felt a deep sense of satisfaction. He had never imagined that a mission to Valora would lead to such responsibility, such connection, and such impact. Yet he had found a place where his skills truly mattered, a place where courage, intelligence, and trust could change the world. Nira joined him on the terrace once more. "Do you ever miss Earth?" she asked. Jaren thought for a moment. "I do," he admitted, "but I have found purpose here. I have found people who value what I can give, and I have found friendship, trust, and a bond that matters more than anything else." Nira smiled. "Then you are truly part of Valora, not just a guardian, but a partner in its future. Your presence strengthens us all." As weeks turned into months, Jaren and Nira continued to lead. They uncovered hidden threats before they could act, strengthened the palace defenses, and inspired citizens with demonstrations of courage and skill. The council became more unified, guided by Nira's leadership and Jaren's advice. One evening, as the twin moons reflected on the rivers below, Jaren and Nira walked through the palace gardens. The flowers glowed softly, casting a gentle light on the paths. "The palace feels alive again," Nira said. "Not just the buildings, but the people. They have hope, and hope is stronger than any weapon." Jaren nodded. "Yes, and that hope will continue to grow. Valora is stronger than before, and it will remain so because of what we have built together." As they paused by a small fountain, Nira turned to Jaren. "You have given more than your strength and skill. You have given courage, trust, and loyalty. You are part of our story now, Jaren. Your presence will be remembered, and your actions will inspire future generations." Jaren felt a warmth in his chest. He had come from Earth as an outsider, but here on Valora he had found belonging. He had found a purpose that mattered beyond himself. And he had forged a bond with a princess who was wise, brave, and determined to lead her people toward a bright future. Queen Serena called for a meeting to plan further improvements to the city and palace. Jaren, Nira, and the loyal council members worked together, combining human ingenuity with Valoran experience. They improved communication systems, strengthened defenses, and created plans to protect not only the palace but the surrounding communities. The city thrived. Citizens moved freely, commerce and culture flourished, and the fear that had once loomed over Valora began to fade. People spoke of the human guardian who had saved their princess, the courage of Princess Nira, and the unity that had carried them through the trials. Jaren reflected on his journey. He had arrived as a visitor, tasked with observing and protecting. Now he was a protector, a leader, and a symbol of hope. His humanity, his ability to adapt, and his courage had made a real difference in a world far from his own. Nira walked beside him as they watched the city from the palace terrace. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you had not been here?" she asked softly. Jaren shook his head. "I don't. Because we were here together, and together we made sure Valora survived. That is what matters." The twin moons rose over the horizon, casting a serene light on the palace and city. The scars of battle had healed, and Valora stood stronger than ever. Jaren had found a home, a purpose, and a place where his courage mattered. Nira had grown into a confident, wise, and capable leader, guided by experience, trust, and human ingenuity. Queen Serena joined them on the terrace. "Valora has entered a new era," she said. "Your actions, Jaren, and your guidance, Princess Nira, have shaped a future of strength, hope, and unity. This world will thrive because of what you have done." Jaren felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He had defended a princess, protected a kingdom, and now stood as part of its future. He had learned that humanity's greatest strength was not just in skill or power, but in courage, trust, and the willingness to act for others. Nira looked at him, her eyes reflecting pride and gratitude. "We will continue to face challenges," she said, "but together there is nothing we cannot achieve. Valora is safe, and its people will flourish because of the choices we make and the courage we show." Jaren nodded. "And I will remain by your side, Princess, to protect, to guide, and to serve Valora." As the night settled over the palace, the city below shimmered with life, peace, and hope. The trials were over, but the future was just beginning. Valora had survived, strengthened, and united, and Jaren had found a place where his humanity could shine. Together, Jaren, Nira, and Queen Serena looked toward the stars, knowing that the universe was vast and challenges would continue. Yet they were ready. They had courage, intelligence, trust, and unity. And Valora would face the future stronger than ever before. The story of bravery, loyalty, and hope had reached its first great conclusion. But the legend of the human guardian and the Valoran princess would continue to inspire generations to come.